people. How's everyone? Okay. Thank you.
As long as you can tell me when it's almost over.
I'll do that.
Okay, thanks. I don't want anyone to know what I'm saying.
Hi everyone, I'm Veronica Taylor. Thank you so much for your patience. This is my daughter Rena. I'm here today to talk about voice acting 101. For anyone who doesn't know me, can you hear me without me using the actual microphone? It's kind of on, right? I used to play Ash on Pokemon and May and Ash's mom. Thank you, one of my favorite roles. April on Ninja Turtles. Gosh, you know, a lot of stuff. So I don't have anything specifically prepared for this because it depends on kind of what you want to know about. One of the things I thought we might do is do kind of a warm-up and maybe some vocal exercises. I don't know if people really want to know about, I don't know, getting a job as a voice actor. What is it to be a voice actor? I'm not sure. So I kind of would rather take it off of what you want to do, and then we'll go from there. How many people would like to do kind of a, you know, do some voice warm-ups and do that? And how many people would rather just talk about, well, I don't know, stuff? Do you have a lot of questions? Stuff? I got stuff?
Let's talk about stuff.
Well, why don't I start by answering some questions, and then we can see if we take it into doing some warm-ups and, I don't know, something like that. What's your question? Yes?
This is going to sound really weird, but can you still do the Ash voice?
Well, darling, I don't know. I'm so when I was doing Ash, there were no paved streets. Yes, I can. Hey, FanExpo, it's awesome to be here. No warm-up, so please pardon that kind of Ash. Yes.
How did you get your start voice acting?
How did I get my start voice acting? I've always wanted to be an actor. When I was 5, I was in my first play. And I went to college and grad school both for acting. So I have a BA and an MFA in acting. I did a lot of classical theater, a lot of Shakespeare, contemporary, stuff like that. And then when I moved to New York, I got an audition for something that then eventually just led to another audition, and that's how I became a voice actor. I didn't set out to simply use my voice, but it's happened that a lot of the auditions that I get are voice related. I guess the real thing is I set out to be an actor. And I do think that for those of you who are interested in voice acting or being an actor, I know people always say stay in school, but I do think that the more education one gets, the better. As an actor, you are called upon to portray people, traits, ideas, and certainly being in school and learning about many subjects, not just acting, I think is probably helpful to all of us. Because you have to put, which I'm not doing very clearly, put ideas forward and also understand people so that you can then portray them. So I guess all of those things together have helped me be a voice actor. Yes, with the glove. Yeah.
What tips do you have for someone who's trying to get into voice acting? Like where do you start? What contacts do you need to make right at the beginning to get you started?
Sure. Everyone can hear that. And you have nice projection, so that's a good place to start. I think realistically, you need to have some sort of a demo. You need to have maybe a 1-minute recording. It used to be a tape and then a CD and now MP3, however you want to have it. You want to have something that you can send to people in some form. I think still having it as a CD and then also having an MP3 you can email off is a good idea.
Okay. Just to clarify
yeah.
my question, I do know that I need a demo, but
Yeah.
should that demo be pretty much all the same thing, just different, like the
Sure.
same voice doing different readings, or should, if I've got a variety of voices, do a variety of voices on that, or should each demo be just one voice?
Well, I think the answer is yes. The reality is your demo should showcase what you do best. If you do one thing, you have a great announcer voice, then you want to have that announcer voice announcing different things. If you do a lot of impersonations, then you might want your demo to be show the range of impersonations. Same thing if you do a range of ages, you want to show that. You want to showcase what you do best and what someone can listen and go, oh, I could use that person for XYZ. On the other side, though, if you are in a market where people are really only casting 10-year-old boys, then you want your demo to show that. And then once you get in, you can start saying, well, you know, I do other things, I do, you know.
So to clarify my understanding, I should be making a demo specific for what I'm submitting it to.
Well, no, like I live in New York. This is not exactly your an answer to it, but for instance, I used to have my CD had my animation, my commercial, and audiobook on it. And when I sent it to LA, they said, "Oh no, we just want animation on one CD," for instance. In New York, they want all of it on the same thing. So you know your market in that sense. If you are if you're auditioning only for cartoons that use children's voices, your demo should have that. But as an actor, you want to be seen for everything. So I think you want to have your demo that shows what you do best overall, whatever that is. And you can have other things if people say, we only want to hear you know, giraffe voices, you know, something like that. But I don't think you can't have like 10,000 different demos to send to whomever. You want to have one good, solid thing that you can send out all the time, I think. That's my opinion. Does that answer your full question?
That's it, great, thank you.
Okay. Oh, you also said, who should you know?
Yes.
All of that. So, and then you'll be next. Most of the work I've ever gotten is through people I know. So, someone says, oh, you came in and did this job, would you read for this one, or something. So it kind of
Network.
works around, yeah. And I think that's a great thing. A lot of people want to hire people they know, or that someone else knows and recommends. The best thing is to just kind of get in the door. Although, where is that door?
Well,
How do you
would be
open
my
it?
question. I've
It's
been
a
looking
little
for that door for
mysterious.
10 years.
Yeah, right. And sometimes it just happens that that one job shows you a path to take that you never knew was there. I don't know. I don't think there's any secret to that, unfortunately. But the more you are working in your field, you know, I like to do audiobooks. I started out reading at the Jewish Guild for the Blind. I volunteered there. Started out. You know, that was one of my things that I did in New York. I volunteered there. I got a lot of experience reading on the fly, the magazine or the newspaper, whatever they handed me that day, and I just went and read for the hour. A lot of stuff like that. Odd jobs that I volunteered for or that I had that weren't related in any way to exactly what I'm doing now, but they all helped inform what I'm doing now and give me a lot of experience. And those people then recommended me for other things. So it's not necessarily, if you want to be in cartoons, you don't necessarily have to get a job in a cartoon. You know, that helps.
Thanks very
Yeah,
much.
yeah, sure.
As a mom who's often thought of careers but never thought of voice acting as a career,
Sure.
and I have my young son who's just finishing grade 10, going into grade 11, and all he's ever spoken to his dad and myself about is voice acting, and we're like, well, this is totally new to us.
Right.
So we're trying to figure out, okay, since we'd like to assist him, I know he's done some at school, which we didn't know of until he won an award.
Wow,
And
congratulations.
then overhearing him in his room at night recording stuff, and like, who the hell's that? Who's he talking to? But then realize that, wow, that sounds pretty good. But I have no idea where to go to seek that extra help for him to assist him in the career that he wants to choose.
Sure. So for anyone who couldn't hear in the back, the short version is a mom is concerned that her son could be crazy or talented because he often talks to himself in his room. Budding career. Jim Carrey probably started out that way too. So how do you get started? The first thing is, as I was told, if there's anything you can do other than being an actor, do that. Because the highs of being an actor are high and the lows are very low, and the working sometimes is very few and far between. Otherwise, my advice is to just be in as many productions as you can. Do your school plays, record stuff, just fool around with your friends and doing things. Volunteer reading at your library, reading for kids. They always have things that you can start. There's nothing like live theater where you are in front of an audience and you know whether what you're doing is working. Because when you're in the booth, you're by yourself and you have maybe a director and you have an engineer, but you don't always know if what you're doing is conveying. So certainly live theater, reading to kids, that lets you know whether you are being honest. For performing, I traveled for a long time performing theater all around the country, my country, the USA, and it's amazing when you take Shakespeare to a high school in the middle of who knows where, and you have kids who are cheering for Hermia and Helena in Midsummer Night's Dream, and because they really get it, because you know that what you're doing is talking and listening and being in the moment. So that really helps, I think, when you're alone in the booth watching a screen and trying to bring a character forward when all you have is the lines you just saw a second ago, and you're trying to make that character real. So be in as many plays as you can be. Somehow you get involved in, if you want to do commercials, then you try to, I don't know if you need an agent or something here, but there's always opportunities that you can find. But I would say too, just be careful, all of you, of giving your talent away for free too much. People may need you to record things for them or do stuff, but you want to protect yourself, and even though you want experience, you want to make sure that you're not taken advantage of. Your talent is worthwhile, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been working for a long time. So use your intuition to know that whether this opportunity is a good one or not. You don't need to be desperate to take some job and then get ripped off. So everyone has a talent, and then you want to find a place where can you put that talent. I happened to be here because a show that I was on happened to go on TV and people happened to like it. That was luck. All of us could have studied the same amount of time, and you know what I mean? We all put our heart into everything. So just protect yourself and make sure that you're not taken advantage of, because your talent is valuable. So, but good luck. I think it's not a waste. As long as you are, quote, following your dreams, I think it's always a good thing. And then find a way to pay your rent. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I actually have a quick question about one of the shows you did. With you being April on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, with the live version, Jessica Biel is said to be playing her, and one of the things she quoted was she grew up watching it, and she actually said that she wanted to live up to the same standard you had put it at, and she thought you were amazing and wants to make sure that when she plays the live version, she does it the exact same way that you did. And how do you feel about that? Like to hear that one of the best actresses out
That
there.
Jessica Biel wants to be like me? That's amazing. But I wonder if she's really talking about the old Ninja Turtles and not me, like the first version or something, I don't know. But either way, I think obviously everyone knows Pokemon has a whole different cast, and I think the same as in this situation, when you take on a role, you want to fill it with what you bring to it, and I think anyone taking over a role that's been done before, whether it's Jessica Biel doing April O'Neil or something else, I think that's a hard thing, because as fans, we all are used to hearing things a certain way, or we're used to it being done a certain way, even a certain style, the way it's drawn or something. So I think it's a lot to live up to, and I also think the people replacing are cheated in a way, because they don't get to make the character their own fully. So she should just call me, I think. But yeah, that's quite an honor. If that's true that she's talking about the cartoon that I worked on, that would be awfully nice. But I would say to her, fly, Jessica. But anyway, it's really wonderful if that's true. Thanks. Yeah.
On a similar note, for when you're doing an English dub for like a Japanese anime, how does the original dub influence your version of the character?
Well, oftentimes when we're dubbing, when something I'm working on that we're dubbing into English from Japanese, we get to see the Japanese version, which I think is very unfair, especially because I don't really get to see what the person before me did and what they had in mind. But often the director has, and they make a decision on what we will kind of bring along from the original version and what we are making new. And I'm not always privy to that, what's informed that decision. But certainly with Ash, for instance, I did get to listen to, at the audition, the original audition, listen to the original Japanese, and then they wanted the voices to sound similar to the original ones. So I was able to kind of have that in mind when I auditioned. But yeah, I don't always get to hear it. Yes. Yeah.
I'd like to ask, which show did you like better, Pokemon or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Which did I like better, Pokemon or Ninja Turtles? Pokemon, I had more lines, so I loved that one the best. Actually, I would honestly say Pokemon for myself as an actor, because the character, especially with 8 seasons, was much more of a full character for me. I love Ninja Turtles. I love being April, but I never felt like she really got to kind of come into her own as much as I, as a girl, would like to have had her come into her own. But I like both shows quite differently, for different reasons. Yeah, all the way in the back.
Have you ever had to deal with working with other accents in your voice work? And if you have, do you have any tips for someone who has to deal with doing accents in their voices?
Yeah, I often do a lot of different voices, and that's one of the things I love to do. I would say, advice-wise, it's annoying to have to live with someone who likes to do that, but often I listen to, I try to listen to people on the subway or on the street and then mimic them a little, and then we end up doing that a lot at home. So I guess you have to live with people who love you regardless, or just keep cooking food for them. I don't know. But mostly I think it's developing your ear, so however that works for you is probably the best way. Yeah.
Before you do a recording, is there any exercises or rituals or tricks that you do?
Yeah, I usually warm up. I do different vocal exercises, certainly, and I try to stretch out a bit too, because I think if your body is somewhat limber and flexible, then you're able to, well, like, with Ash, I had to kind of act things out, since it's mostly, this is mostly people who like Pokemon, right? So if I could refer to that. For his thing, watching it, you have to wear clothes that don't make any noise, because if you're moving around, obviously, like even this would be a problem. But for that, I would have to go Pokeball, go! Because I found like this helped it to sound like he was throwing it. So if my neck is really hurting or something, I don't know, your body starts hurting and you keep all your energy in, and by the time you get out, you're just kind of walking around. So I do think stretching out helps. Yeah, and I definitely do, a couple of minutes depending on if I rode my bike to work, or if I walked, or if I took a cab. That would be the difference between if I warm up on my way there or if I have to take a few minutes once I get there. Is that, or were you looking for specifics?
Well, that helps as well. Is there
Okay.
anything that you find just, I don't know, makes you more confident as well?
I would say voice exercise-wise.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important stretches is if you put the tip of your tongue behind your front teeth, and you think of like if this was your tongue and this is at the back where your tongue is connected here. And these are my teeth. So if your tongue is here and you're pressing the middle of your tongue forward, like that. You can also stick your tongue all the way out, but it's a little bit harder. I walk around like this, and people can't really tell. I think stretching your tongue muscle here, we can all do it, so I'm not the only weirdest one. So you really feel that stretch all the way here. That tends to, your tongue is very tight. It's one of the biggest muscles in your body, and you're using it all the time. So it's best to stretch it out. It helps loosen everything up. If you wake up in the morning, you're a little froggy, and I don't know. You have to, let's say you have a job in half an hour. That's one of the exercises I use that really helps. And also you can do that and kind of to go through your whole range. Doing that and the tongue exercise at the same time kind of kills two birds with one stone, especially if you don't have a lot of time to warm up. That's probably the most important thing for me. And then I do eat a lot of Ricola throat lozenges. I find that they really help clear my sinuses. And when I was on tour once with Treasure Island, that would be my warm-up, is a Ricola. Sad. But I was playing Jim Hawkins then, so that was my pre-Ash days. Yes, with the hat.
Hi, Veronica.
Hi, again.
Hi again. Do you still do voiceover work nowadays? Or?
Yeah, I do. I do a lot of things, commercial, audiobook. I do, I do a lot of stuff. Mostly all my work is voiceover related. And I'm working on a project right now called Mophie, which is a stop action bunny. It's all in cotton. It's for little kids. It's very soft and lovely show. We just finished the first season of that. It's Mophie is a Japanese character that's being done by the Mazzari brothers, I believe, in Italy. And it's going to come out in 2013, but I'm not sure where or if you'll ever see it. But I'm working on that. And then I do a lot of stuff for PBS and Scholastic right now. So, yes. Yeah.
Two-part question about your anime work. Do you remember if you've recorded more than beyond the 8 episodes of Bakuman that have been released so far?
Bakuman. If we did more than 8, I can't answer that question because a lot of times. So here's what happens. So when you're recording anime, especially when you're doing something that's dubbed, me, the actor, go to the booth by yourself. And we go through the whatever episode and do all my lines. And then, if I don't have a lot of lines, or maybe I'm booked for 4 hours, maybe we do all 8 episodes in that one time that I'm there. So basically, they just keep handing me the scripts. I see it, record it, and then leave. So that's why sometimes I don't even remember what the episode was about because I didn't know. I just know the scenes that I was in. So I don't know how many episodes we've done or did.
Okay.
I have no idea. And if I'm in, let's say there's 16 and my character was in 8, then I only know about those. I wish I could tell you the answer to this.
Okay, because Media Blasters has been taking their sweet time releasing the rest of the
Oh, is that
series.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And the second part is like a month ago, Viz Media confirmed that the original Berserk cast would return to dub the movies.
Oh yeah?
So for like the third movie, when young Griffith shows up, is that a role you'd be interested in voicing again?
I'm always interested in going back to any character I've ever played, and for anyone casting in any future roles. I didn't know that. So if I was in Berserk and they're doing movies, exciting. I didn't know that. So as of right now, no one has contacted me, but certainly I would do that. Yeah, thank you
No problem.
for that. Well, on Tara, and then I'll go to you in the front. Yes.
I was actually going to point him out because the poor guy's had his hand up.
Oh, is that right? Sorry, I haven't looked over. Okay, but you're next. Oh my gosh. Lie down.
Yeah, you mentioned that you went to the booth, just read the lines that you saw, and then spoken into the screen. Is that consistent with all the shows that you did, or did some of them you have to keep up with the series to put in the emotion to it? And is that consistent with most voice actors? Do they watch the series they do?
I don't know. I mean, most of the time, let's say for Pokemon, for instance, the way it would work is I would walk in the morning and say hello and go into the booth, and my script would be, well, I'd probably take it into the booth with me, and that would be it. We wouldn't really say, oh, today's episode is going to be whatever. We just start and literally pick up the script. I kind of glance at it quickly to find where my line is, kind of see as quickly as I can what the people around me are saying, and then look up at the monitor and I hear my 3 beeps, and then on the where there's no 4th beep is where you start talking, and then I would just start and do the thing, and then sometimes it works on that. Okay, let's go to the next. Sometimes it doesn't fit the flap, or maybe the emotion that I thought was there wasn't where we were going. That's pretty much it. And so why I think going to school for acting is helpful is that you're able to kind of jump in and figure out your objective in the scene almost without thinking about it. And certainly what I realized is that my craft before I got the job certainly helps inform me during my job. But yeah, most of the time that's it. And you're trying to go, I mean, being a voice actor, you can't have just one job. So most of the things that I work on, I never see because I'm trying to find another job, or I'm doing another job or something like that, and I rarely, although when Pokemon came out, I did watch the first season at 6:30, and, you know, because it was so exciting. But other than that, I don't have that much time to do that, and you would hope that the director will then inform you when you show up what's going on or what has happened along the way. Yes?
I'm curious what location means to a voice actor in studios that eventually hire voice actors. I had to drive a bit to be here. I'm not near any major city center or anything like that, so I've seen 2 different types of voice actors. The kind that come into studios and do things in booths, like you were talking about, or the kind that have their own studios in their homes, or have access, in my case, because I'm in radio, I have access to a soundproof booth that I can get into daily with a good mic and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if does that hurt your chances at all? Because obviously, I guess one of the biggest groups in Canada is like the Ocean Group. They do a lot of voice work up in Vancouver. Bit of a drive. So
yeah, a little bit.
So I don't know if that hurts your chances if they only like voice actors that are able to come in the flesh and do stuff in the booths, or if you can have a viable career as a voice actor doing stuff out of a rent-a station or out of something you build in your basement that has a decent Sennheiser mic or something like that.
Right. So the question is, do you need to live in a certain place to be a voice actor? And again, I think really the answer is it depends on who your client is. Nowadays, there's a lot of people who are recording from home. They're getting jobs on the internet, and they can record from home. And I think unfortunately going to a studio is kind of a luxury now. There's a lot of people who want you to be in the town where they're doing the project because they're not going to pay to bring you to the town. That's one thing. So they are, well, let's just use Pokemon for just to go. So with Pokemon, for instance, if you moved from New York, you were dropped from the show in those days, for instance, because there was no way then to like it was that long ago, but things have changed so quickly if you left town, you couldn't record. There was no way if you moved to LA to match the picture. So you had to be in New York. Nowadays, you can have a show that's being done simultaneously in New York and LA because a studio can lock to picture and then email it, you know, or whatever, send it through that internet again. So it depends. You know, some of that, if it doesn't cost them anything, you can be anywhere. I do think still a lot of people would like to meet you. So if you're if you hope to be on a bigger show, they may want you to be in town because you go in and record that day, and if something didn't work out or they change the lines, you have to come back in again. And they don't always do that from your remote location. Should you, if you want to be just a voice actor, should you move to a certain place? I don't know. Because the chances are, there's work everywhere. It depends on what you want to do. It depends on if you really want to do commercials, and New York City is the place where all the commercials are done, let's say, then you might want to move there. But does that mean that if you live in XYZ town, you can't be an actor? No. There's still work that you could do. It just depends on what you want to be working on. I don't think it's true when people say you have to live in this place. And also it's not true if people say, it doesn't matter, do whatever you want. You have to figure out what's important to you, and then, again, the same with the voice, with your demo. It depends on what the clients that you want, if they need you to be in town for that. I don't know, that kind of is a wishy-washy answer in a sense, but it depends on you, I think.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, like I said, that one group is in Vancouver, so I guess if I wanted to get into like the cartoon stuff, that
probably because they do everything to picture there,
yeah,
and they don't, unless there were a studio that they worked with, a kind of sister studio out here, then they could do that. But, one studio that I work with, NYAV Post, has a place in New York and they have a place in LA, so they can do things at the same time on both coasts. So yeah, sure. I'm going to go to the red coat.
I actually have two questions. The first one is, what were some of the bigger problems you faced getting to the point you were at now?
Some of the bigger problems I faced getting to here?
Yeah.
Well, probably the same that everyone faces, in that you audition and audition, or you want to be auditioning more, or you audition so much but you don't get cast. You know, the biggest problem I think as an actor is that you're constantly putting yourself out there, and there are so many jobs that you don't get because you don't match up with this person, or you weren't, I don't know, as an actor, the right height, or, you know, all those things. I think the biggest hurdle there is myself, because to be able to let go of my ego, to say, is it me? Was I not good enough? Should I have done this better? To let all those nagging questions that constantly plague all of us, to try to push that aside and then just move on to the next job or the next audition and just keep going on. And I think with that is that no matter what, if you get up in the morning, you just don't feel good, or you're upset about something that happened, and to be able to put that aside as well and just be in the moment at the job or at the audition or whatever, I think those are always my biggest hurdles, to kind of get out of my own way.
And my second question was, who's your favorite Pokemon?
Pikachu. Hands down. And Lapras my second, because I like the idea of getting to ride around on that all the time. But definitely Pikachu. And I think even as a voice actor that I forget the woman's name who does Pikachu right now, I'm sorry, but she's one of the most amazing actors ever. That if you listen to the show just for Pikachu, and that she can bring so much emotion, and just from saying Pikachu, it's amazing. So definitely. Yes?
Why did you stop doing Pokemon?
I stopped doing Pokemon because Pokemon USA took the show back from 4Kids, who I worked at 4Kids. And when Pokemon USA did not renew the contract with 4Kids, everyone who worked on the show was not taken along with it. So Pokemon USA decided that they would do it on their own, and didn't offer jobs to any of us. So they basically said, we found out while we were doing the 8th movie, Lucario, I think that's what it was. We were doing that, and we were gearing up to do the 10th anniversary special, and they said, oh, we've already cast sound alikes, so we won't be needing you for that. And that was the end. So we finished the 8th season, and we didn't work on it again. So yeah, very sad. But so in a sense, we didn't stop because we had a choice. In a kind of a way, we were let go. But yeah.
So you said you did other kinds of acting. How do you think voice acting differs if you have both pros and cons?
How it differs from live acting?
Yeah.
Well, I think when you're putting the voice to a cartoon, let's say, you have only your voice. When I'm doing a show, I can have a costume on, I have movement. When I pause and do something funny, I have my whole body to inform you on who the character is. But when I'm doing a cartoon, I'm relying on just my voice to bring all the emotion out, and then you're watching the picture that fills in the rest. So I'm trying to bring the picture to life and also bring the character to life at the same time. So I think in a small sense, being a theater or a film actor, there's a little more luxury to that in that you have your whole body to rely on. But voice acting is kind of like taking all of that and bringing it down through a very narrow funnel where you just have your voice. So, but I do think as an actor, you still bring all of your skills, figuring out your objectives in the scene, to be able to, all of those things, character building, ideas on who the character is, all of that stuff I bring with me, but I only have my little voice.
Sorry to ask again, but one of my questions with voice acting, you mentioned that you sometimes would do like an action, like when he was throwing a ball. Did you find it was like easier to like have the script in front of you and like be off of that, or is it easier like to just memorize it all so it's like very natural and it's like almost like you're just speaking?
Yeah, I don't ever memorize the line so much because I kind of skim through and have an idea of what it is in a way, but I never trust myself to in that short of time because they really want you to move pretty quickly because it's all time is money, So I never memorize the line, but I'm always holding the paper in a way that's quiet, and then, but you have to find a way to read and look at the screen at the same time. So in a sense, you're half memorizing it, but I don't ever memorize the line and just kind of freewheel do it. I'm always reading it because I really don't know what's coming up. Yeah, orange shirt.
Yeah, when you're making your first demo, what are you supposed to include? Like, you can't have like a regular script, like, from other actors and all that kind of thing.
Right. So if you were going to do an animation demo, you would want to, you can't really take anything from a show that's specific. Like, you couldn't say, Pikachu, I choose you in your demo, because it's copyrighted and, that kind of stuff. But you can, you can make up stuff, you can take lines from something that you've worked on, or I suppose you want to put together a little bit of something. My animation demo has little clips from things that, maybe are 2 sentences long, so you get an idea of the character. But if you're doing an animation demo, or a cartoon or character demo, you want to have short snippets of things. You don't really need to have a long version of something. If you're doing a commercial demo, you want to have maybe short spots on there, a 15-second spot, a bit from something. You don't really want the whole thing to be 1 minute long because people's attention spans, especially now, are very short. And you can start hearing in the first maybe even 4 seconds if that's the voice you're looking for in something. So you want to have something that's kind of catchy. I know someone who did their demo and they put it all together so they were all different characters speaking a scene together. Other people put just random clips. So part of that is, do you want the listener, the casting agent, to be thinking about the story that you're telling, or do you want your voices to pop out?
Like,
you know?
Your voice to pop out, like, you know. If it's like not like a original script or something, so it can just be like simple?
Simple. Voicebank.com, voicebank.net, I think is a great place to go and listen to people's demos. Hear what other people have done, and you can kind of get an idea of what the industry standard is for that. There's all different agencies on there, and you can just pull up what different people have done. You can go on and find your favorite voice actor, who I can't remember anyone's names right now, but you can find someone that you love who does stuff and find their demo. There's a million people I'm thinking of, like actors from SpongeBob, let's say, or SpongeBob. I always say that wrong. That cartoon with the big sponge. Somehow you mortify SpongeBob. The SpongeBob. You can find those people on there, find their demos, and you can hear, you know they do a million voices, and hear what they chose to put on their demo, for instance. That's a great way to get started. Because when you're sitting here and you're thinking, oh my God, I just want to get into this, I just want to do something. But, okay, so you say, make a demo. Okay, I don't know what that means, you know? So
or I don't know how to begin.
Yeah, exactly, and starting is the hardest part, certainly. And then you get overwhelmed. Well, how am I going to find the copy? Where am I going to record it? Don't record it in your bathroom, because, I mean, the bathrooms are always great, and they've got that great echo, but it doesn't sound that great when you record something there. So you want to record in a studio, or what was that?
Like a closet?
A closet, yeah. Or, I thought your voice came from somewhere else. Are you a ventriloquist as well? Although that's hard to put on a demo. You're like playing the demo, but your voice comes from over there. Yeah, your closet is good, as long as you can breathe, it doesn't get too hot. Because it's dampened, the sound is dampened there. Putting pillows around where you're going to record, something like that. You want to make sure that your demo sounds professional. Whether you go somewhere, another thing is you can take classes at a place that offers you classes and then a demo at the end. You can do that, as long as, again, it's a reputable place and they're not just taking your money and not really giving you something, education-wise or actually a demo. But you want it to sound, the reason I say don't record in your bathroom is that if it has that tinny, ringy sound, people are going to know that you just did it in your bathroom and aren't really professional. Yeah. So you want to come across as professional as you are, as talented as you are. You don't want the quality to diminish the respect that you should receive. So, because people's time is so precious and limited, they don't take a lot of time. They're just going to listen quickly and try to find what they're looking for. Casting agents are wonderful people, but don't have a lot of imagination to say, I kind of loved what they did, I wonder if they could do this. They just want it. They've got to I hear the voice, oh, let's cast them. Let's bring them in for an audition. Because ultimately, you want to get in for an audition. They hear your demo, they call you in. Then you show them what you can do. You know?
Thank you.
Yeah, I should do red shirt there.
Yeah. How flexible generally is your recording schedule? Do you have any say in that?
Some things, if people will call and say, I need you for an hour on this day, or do you have, what's your time? So some, and as a mom, being a voice actor has been great because I can schedule around a field trip or pick Rena up from school when she was smaller, or things like that. So it has been a great thing for me, whereas being in a play, I couldn't really do. So yes, it's been flexible, but it's not always. But at the same time, it's more so than I haven't had to be somewhere 9 to 5 every day where I couldn't get out. Yeah. And so for me, I've been quite fortunate with that. We both have.
Thank you.
Sure. All the way in the back, the last row there.
I guess 3 questions. What would you say would be the industry expectation for for normal accent? And based off of the answer, how would you go about, I guess, getting close to that?
What is the like what accent are people normally looking for?
Yeah, that would be a good way to phrase it.
I think for the most part, like standard, well, I'm from the US, so it would be the standard middle American, standard American, which is kind of the East Coast, kind of my accent, which is not necessarily any accent in a sense. I think the same thing we share between our two countries is that standard accent. There are other things where people want British or Australian or whatever, and they want you to be able to put that on, but they also want you to be able to take it away. It depends again on your market though. Like I have a friend who has a French accent and he gets a lot of French accented work. He doesn't really do anything in a standard American. So it really depends. But from listening to TV, most of the people on commercials have a standard accent, no accent at all. And any other thing has more of a character to it. So from what, I base a lot of things like that on what I'm hearing. For instance, my dad does a lot of voiceover stuff. My dad used to do a ton of regular, spokesman type things. But that sound has changed. That kind of warm voice has kind of become this kind of thing, or, people are kind of cool now. That's shifted, and it depends on the time slot that it's in, so you have to kind of listen to what you want to audition for and kind of figure out what that voice is. And the person all the way in the very back row.
I'm just gonna ask, Pokemon or Star Wars, your app goes through a lot of emotional ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
Was it hard for you coping with that? Because I remember when you turned to stone in the first movie.
Yeah. So I think it is hard emotionally. I don't tend to take a lot of the emotion home with me, but yeah, you have to be able to kind of open yourself up to what the character is emotionally going through. And yeah, there are times when I have had to stop because I was crying, and you can't also, like narrating an audiobook, for instance, the character is in tears, but then the narrator speaks right after. So you have to be able to, luckily with editing, you can stop. And then kind of, because if you're in character and then the narrator speaks, the narrator can't sound like they were crying, or have a stuffy nose because you were crying or something, Yeah, I definitely find that that's something I have to work on, to be able to be open to that and yet not so open that I'm just crying and have to stop the session for 15 minutes. But you have to, I'm pretty sure I was crying then too, actually. And I do cry every time I see the movie at that point. Yes.
Kind of based on that question, is there a certain emotion that as a voice actor you struggle with?
I have a very difficult time laughing. I laugh a lot in my real life, probably too much. But as Ash, for instance, I had a hard time laughing and making that sound real. I don't know why. It was always like that would take a lot of takes to sound like a real thing. I'm not very good. This is too much for you to know, but I'm not very good at being angry. So sometimes a character being angry is easier for me to do than me being angry in my real life. So not that it's therapeutic, but it's a way of someone else speaking like that. But that's probably, yeah, I like playing evil characters because I don't really think of myself as so evil, so it's kind of fun to be the bad guy sometimes, in a safe way. Yes.
Have you ever played any of the Pokemon games?
I have not played any Pokemon games. My brother was 10 when Pokemon came out, and he wouldn't let me play any. And then Rena has a game.
I have a game. I have Fire Red.
Good choice. Thank you. And I've yet to play that too. But I have seen little people walking around, and it is a dream of mine to one day play. Sometime. Maybe when Rena goes to college, I'll get the game back. And, yes.
How long are your recording sessions normally?
A session can go anywhere from an hour to 6 hours, usually. And by the end of 6 hours, I think everyone's done. For the engineer and the director, your ears are tired. As the actor, you're just tired. So anywhere between there. Just depends. Yes?
Any fun stories from the recording booth?
Any funny stories? I tend to forget everything once I leave. I would say probably the worst thing for me, I was working on His and Her Circumstances, and had this one time when it was one of these great things where she's in the middle and the whole thing is spinning around behind her and she's letting out this long yell, and I let out this long yell and I wasn't breathing, and so by the time I reached the end of it, I just stopped. I was really dizzy and I just fainted. Which was fine, but probably worse for, the booth has a window like this, so you just see me. The sound somewhere like this, and then suddenly, I'm fine, I kind of got up. That's probably worse for them. What's that?
Did they use that version?
Oh yeah, that's the only take we did of that one. That was fun. And then we just kept going, because there's no time to stop. You have to then keep going. So that's probably the worst it's ever gotten. I did work on something one time where we did the whole thing through. I was playing a girl, and we got to the end and found out that it was a boy dressed as a girl. And I said, wow, it would have been great to know that. No, you were fine, it's great. And then that was the end of that. So those things hurt my soul a tiny bit. Because you want to bring as much as you can to something. But 5 minutes, thank you so much. Anyway, that's probably the worst. Let's do quick questions. Yes?
Just a quick question. Did you start looking for voice acting right after school, or did you do it in between university and college?
No, I too recorded things in my room. I love cartoons. I always was doing stuff. And I had my first kind of, I was part of the Batman stunt show at Great Adventure, and I did the voiceover for that. And that was probably my first voiceover job, and that was after grad school. So things just kind of came, but I mostly did theater before. Yeah.
Do you do voice acting full time, and what are the hours like? When you finish recording 6 hours of Pokemon on Monday, what do you do for the rest of the week?
Yeah, so I could record, let's say, Pokemon from 10 to 4. Depending on if I had anything else, I might take a half an hour. I could be working again the same day. Sometimes with audiobooks I work, 10 to 5. Sometimes then I have something and have another session in the evening. Sometimes I have no work at all for days. It can be when things are crunched because there's so many people need it done at a certain time, September, everything has to be in. I can work a day shift and a night shift on certain things. The hours are kind of whatever people need. Sometimes I work on the weekends. It all depends on when people have studio space available too. So it can be from 15 minutes to working a whole day. And I try to, I schedule things close together if I can, so that I can, it's hard to say no to a job because you don't know when a job is ever going to come again. So I try to cram it all in there, but you have to give yourself time to regenerate, just like Doctor Who. And then I come back looking just like this after, with the hat, yes.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what your daughter wants to be when she grows up, because you have such a unique career that she's sitting right beside you.
Yes.
What do you want to do
What
when
do
you
you
grow up?
think?
I don't know. I don't know, actually.
Rena does some, take your time, does some voiceover, and
I've done like a couple things, but I don't really know. It's it's easier just to let my mom do the voiceover and I just
hang out.
But I think certainly something creative.
Yeah.
Our home is very artsy. Yeah, it would be hard to imagine. Although being a scientist is creative, you know. Neither of us are very good with math, so probably not mathematicians. That's why I became an actor, because I'm not good at math. All the way on the side back there, yeah?
Ash himself had a bit of a raspy voice, so after a while, did you have any trouble, like, doing the voice over and over again, or did it strain you at all?
Certainly, like, screaming is a problem in a way, but if I'm kind of talking down here like this, and I have this is really low, sorry. If I have a job that's kind of down here, then I can go and do something here, because it's all really high. This is all down here, and then I can kind of find something, so now my middle range is a little bit tired, because my middle and low I've used more. So maybe I would try not to do 3 jobs in a row that were all kind of down here. But ultimately, you hope that your training helps you to use your voice in a more safe way. Yes, question over here. No? Yes, yes? Hat.
Do you prefer doing the voice of girls or boys more?
I prefer a great character. So, unfortunately, many of our great characters are boys. Like I would have loved to have played Michelangelo on Ninja Turtles, because it's an awesome character. Then to April, who was somewhat flat for me, you know what I mean? We're almost done. But I prefer the energy of the character to be great. So either, I'll take anything, you know, that boy or girl. Yes?
Last question,
Yeah.
and second also. What do you think of Canada so far, and what do you think of FanExpo so far, Veronica?
Well, I love FanExpo. It's one of my all-time favorite conventions to come to. And not just because you're sitting here, but the people are so wonderful. And plus, you never know who you're going to run into, you know, celebrity-wise. I really love it. I love coming here. Toronto's a great city. We're going to go to Montreal after this for 3 days, which is going to be quite a treat. And, yeah, I really love it very much. And thank you all for being so warm and welcoming. Thank you. Hold on. That's you. We're going to do that. Yes. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I could say, is this my last question? Yeah. Okay. Hey, you guys, I think you're awesome, so I say, I choose you! Ages, you want to show that. You want to showcase what you do best and what someone can listen and go, oh, I could use that person for XYZ. On the other side, though, if you are in a market where people are really only casting 10-year-old boys, then you want your demo to show that. And then once you get in, you can start saying, well, you know, I do other things, I do, you know.
So to clarify my understanding, I should be making a demo specific for what I'm submitting it to.
Well, no, like I live in New York. This is not exactly your an answer to it, but for instance, I used to have my CD had my animation, my commercial, and audiobook on it. And when I sent it to LA, they said, "Oh no, we just want animation on one CD," for instance. In New York, they want all of it on the same thing. So you know your market in that sense. If you are if you're auditioning only for cartoons that use children's voices, your demo should have that. But as an actor, you want to be seen for everything. So I think you want to have your demo that shows what you do best overall, whatever that is. And you can have other things if people say, we only want to hear you know, giraffe voices. You know, because I'm an MFA in acting. I did a lot of classical theater, a lot of Shakespeare, contemporary stuff like that. And then when I moved to New York, I got an audition for something that then eventually just led to another audition, and that's how I became a voice actor. I didn't set out to simply use my voice. but it's happened that a lot of the auditions that I get are voice related. But I guess the real thing is I set out to be an actor. And I do think that for those of you who are interested in voice acting or being an actor, I know people always say stay in school, but I do think that the more education one gets, the better. As an actor, you are called upon to portray people, traits, ideas, and certainly being in school and learning about many subjects, not just acting, I think is probably helpful to all of us. Because you have to put, which I'm not doing very clearly, put ideas forward and also understand people so that you can then portray them. So I guess all of those things together have helped me be a voice actor. Yes, with the glove. Yeah.
What tips do you have for someone who's trying to get into voice acting? Like where do you
set up? Wow, it's a lot of people. How's everyone? Okay. Thank you. As long as you can tell me when it's almost over.
I'll do that.
Okay, thanks. I don't want anyone to know what I'm saying. Hi, everyone. I'm Veronica Taylor. Thank you so much for your patience. This is my daughter, Rena. I'm here today to talk about voice acting 101. For anyone who doesn't know me, can you hear me without me using the actual microphone? It's kind of on, right? I used to play Ash on Pokemon and May and Ash's mom and Thank You, one of my favorite roles. April on Ninja Turtles, gosh, you know, a lot of stuff. So I don't have anything specifically prepared for this because it depends on kind of what you want to know about. One of the things I thought we might do is do kind of a warm-up and maybe some vocal exercises. I don't know if people really want to know about, I don't know, getting a job as a voice actor. What is it to be a voice actor? I'm not sure. So I kind of would rather take it off of what you want to do and then we'll go from there. How many people would like to do kind of a, you know, do some voice warm-ups and do that? And how many people would rather just talk about, well, I don't know, stuff? Do you have a lot of questions? Stuff? I got stuff?
Let's talk about stuff.
Well, why don't I start by answering some questions and then we can see if we take it into doing some warm-ups and, I don't know, something like that. What's your question? Yes?
This is going to sound really weird, but can you still do the Ash voice?
Well, darling, I don't know. I'm so old. When I was doing Ash, there were no paved streets. Yes, I can. Hey, FanExpo, it's awesome to be here. No warm-up, so please pardon that kind of Ash. Yes.
How did you start voice acting?
How did I get my start voice acting? I've always wanted to be an actor. When I was 5, I was in my first play. And I went to college and grad school, both for acting. So I have a BA and...
You start, what contacts do you need to make right at the beginning to get you started?
Sure. Everyone can hear that. I think you have nice projections, so that's a good place to start. I think realistically, you need to have some sort of a demo. You need to have maybe a 1-minute recording. It used to be a tape and then a CD and now MP3, however you want to have it. You want to have something that you can send to people in some form. I think still having it as a CD and then also having an MP3 you can email off is a good idea.
Okay. Just to clarify my question, I do know that I need a demo, but should that demo be pretty much all the same thing, just different like the same voice doing different readings, or should, if I've got a variety of voices, do a variety of voices on that, or should each demo be just one voice?
Well, I think the answer is yes. The reality is your demo should showcase what you do best. If you do one thing, you have a great announcer voice, then you want to have that announcer voice announcing different things. If you do a lot of impersonations, then you might want your demo to be show the range of impersonations. Same thing if you do a range of